Hello and welcome everybody out there in Twitch and D&D land. I hope you are all having a fantastic time. Don't forget that if you are watching this that you should be commenting and subscribing to help our channel grow and to help make sure that we can output more content such as this. Now, before we jump into today's action, if you want to check us out live, you can see this game and many others over at twitch.tv/ProDMJoey. If you're interested in joining any of our games, we have links to our Patreon down below in every platform. We have a lot of goals that we want to hit in the coming years, and we want to start moving towards them. So, if you want a virtual reality version of D&D that runs its own NPCs that you can interact with and other choice things such as that, then you might want to, join our Patreon so we can start working towards that at a more efficient rate. But I believe that's going to be everything from me. How about we introduce the campaign a little bit? There we go. So, everybody, welcome to our first horror-themed campaign in a very long time in this community. Before we get started, I should announce our trigger warnings for anybody who might be watching. This will have psychological horror associated with it, so any trauma that individuals have experienced in their past, be forewarned, may be coming back and experiencing them in this game. So, if that is something you are not keen to, as well as going insane, then you probably want to turn away and not pay any attention to what's happening on this channel. But how about we introduce the start of all of this? Players, you were each traveling through Wildmount with one another, heading out towards the Menagerie Coast to recruit an old family member, perhaps, back into a easier way of life after they were removed forcibly from their community for reasons that you may or may not be aware of. Now, when you all went to sleep underneath the starry sky, you opened your eyes and you were floating aimlessly. You looked all around you and you saw nothing but swirls of energy, purple skies, and the periodic star that looked far too close compared to what you're used to seeing. Now, you all looked at one another and immediately recognized each other. You looked around, but you didn't have any of your typical armor or weapons at your disposal. Those items seem to not be on you right now, which is very concerning considering you have no idea what's going on. And as you started floating, you slowly began to realize that you weren't exactly in control over your bodies, not in the typical way that you were used to. Each of you tried to move as best as you could, but all you could really muster was these slight pushes in directions. It's very uncomfortable, especially for you, Darmok, an individual who is perfectly attuned with their body, very assured of themselves in their movement, and knows how to manipulate themselves perfectly. It is tremendously tedious for you to have to experience and deal with the fact that you are not in control right now. Though you're not sure anything is, which may even be a bit more horrific to consider. Now, after floating like this for a couple of weeks, aimlessly, you all see a formation in this open, vast, empty realm. It looks almost like a tower sitting against a very short platform. Cracked earth and dirt seems to slowly drip off of it and float out into the ether, much the same way that you are. And as your bodies are drifting towards it, you feel yourselves pulled, almost like there's a gravity bringing you towards it. And as soon as you get onto the mass, your feet land, one after another. And for the first time in what feels like days, weeks, you're all in control over your bodies again, capable of speaking and communicating with one another. And it is here that we will begin this journey. So, first, I would like each of you to introduce yourselves. Law, would you like to go first? Just aesthetically. We don't need to know anything about you. We'll figure that out. Law, you are currently muted. We cannot hear you.
About it.
Now I hear you.
Oh, so now you do. We'll see how long that lasts. Might as well try and make the most of it. Law, being the tiefling, as you can see from the picture. Sorcerer, said a discredited academic.
I said aesthetics. We don't need to know anything else.
Alright, fine. And yes, he is pink.
Hell yeah. So what does he look like? Alright, we're gonna go on to somebody else. Darmok.
Yes, Darmok is a Goliath. Slender build, standing almost 8 feet tall. And what you can see of the photo is his representation.
Alrighty. Very few tribal tattoos stretching across him, and a quarterstaff that, well, you always used to have. Not currently, though.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Wave. Why don't you tell us about what you look like?
Wave Stripes is a very typical tabaxi, except for his stripes form much more of a wave pattern than a straight normal tabaxi stripes instead. But yeah, other than that, typical tabaxi.
Alrighty. Now, the three of you have landed here, stepping out into this landscape, and your feet feel like they are on top of solid ground, but there's this disconnect between yourselves and the ground you are stepping on. It feels almost as if it could crumble away with just too firm of a step upon it, though it looks perfectly firm to step upon. Before you is this large, very old, decrepit tower. It looks completely out of any time that you all are aware of. The open windows that move all the way up it, some of which seem to have objects draped out, like curtains or sheets, tied together and moving downwards. The front of this building seems to have a door that has no knocker and no handle upon it. There's petrified grass that lines across this dirt mound that leads over towards the tower. And even as you brush your feet against them, you all realize, yep, you're not wearing shoes either, and it feels stiffened for grass. So, go ahead. Communicate with one another.
Wait, what?
You're
What's
super
going on?
quiet.
Wait, what's going on?
As if I would know. We just kind of woke up here.
Well, you seem to have magic powers, so I figured maybe you might know a little bit of what's going on here.
Honestly, I don't even know where we are. Looking around, would I be capable of making an assumption of anywhere we could be at the moment? Or what could have caused this?
You have not been trained in any capacity about this circumstance. You have no knowledge about it at all.
It was worth a try.
Yeah, none of you went wizard.
Yeah, y'all got your powers from other mains.
Fucking mostly, but yeah.
Yeah. Is there like a light source, like a sun or
No.
something? So
There's
we can...
little specks of light in the sky that you all refer to as stars, but they just seem slightly larger. There's no direct source of light that you've seen throughout any of this experience, but everything seems to be easily viewed. Your visual prowess is one of the only things that is incredible out here. Each of you can see very far and very clearly outside of a very normal circumstance for many of you.
And is it like unnaturally quiet, deafening? Can we hear anything?
It's not exactly a deafening quiet. It's more of an emptiness. Like there is no sound to be heard. While you were floating, one of the most uncomfortable aspects for many of you was the fact that you could actually hear your heart beating in your ears, as that was the loudest thing happening around you.
That sounds creepy.
Yes, it does.
Do you think we should just...
I do not like it.
Yeah. Do you think we should just pound on the door?
Do. I say we go for it.
I mean, might as well.
Alright. I guess I'll bang on the door as loud as I can. Like the cops are showing up at your house.
You step across this petrified grass, moving it out of your way as you make your way towards that door, and raise your hand. As soon as your hand drifts to connect with it, the door opens. Swinging inwards very slowly to reveal a pitch black location. You can make out subtle outlines of broken furniture, but for some reason, whatever unnatural or natural source of lighting that you all are relying out here does not persist in there.
I do not think it is a wise decision to enter.
Well, know how long we were on that boat or ship or whatever, but it wanted us to take it took us here. I'm not saying we have to go in this room, but um, it seems like we're maybe supposed to be here. I don't know.
True.
Give me a moment. I will at least attempt something before we do anything.
Okay.
Oh, by all means.
I have the Eldritch Invocation that allows me to cast Detect Magic at will.
Yes.
So I'll just cast that.
Where'd my mouse go? There it is. One second. So you may cast this without expending a spell slot, however, you still need all other aspects of the spell. That's what at will means. So, verbal and semantic components, no material components needed. Easy enough. You focus outwards and speak a language that I don't think the other two fully comprehend. And after you do so, there's an enveloping of understanding of this location. Your spell works much differently than it should. Usually you get that radius around yourself that allows you to detect every single aspect near you. But instead, all it does is notify you that there is some amount of conjuration near you, and there's a tremendous amount of illusion near you.
This place is covered with illusion and conjuration.
So this isn't real?
It's possible that there are aspects that are not real, but I'm not sure if the entire place is fake.
Seems plenty real to me.
Well, yes, that's what an illusion is.
I know what an illusion is.
And the bickering begins.
But at any rate, there really isn't anywhere else for us to go now, is there?
I didn't see anything else. I mean, I guess we go back on the ship, but it didn't seem like it was going anywhere after it stopped here.
There was no ship, you just floated.
Oh.
Yeah. This isn't Spelljammers.
I thought you said ship earlier. My mistake. Well,
you were on your way to a ship before coming
gotcha.
here, but yes.
Well, we floated here, and I don't see us floating anywhere else. So, I'll go first, and let's pray to the gods that I don't get murdered. And
He'll be just inside the door.
Yeah, I figured. And I'll cross the threshold.
Alrighty. As you step into the threshold, everybody else sees this gelatinous shimmer that moves across. And you no longer see Darmok.
Darmok, can you hear me?
You cannot.
Darmok? God damn it. I hate illusion magic so much. Okay, 1, 2, and 3, and I'm gonna jump in.
Alright. Same thing happens to them.
I'm guessing you couldn't hear me back there.
No, I could not. What did you say?
I said I'd be going in too because I don't like the idea of being out here with just Rafe Stripes.
Fair enough. You go through. And once you're all in, you all step through the threshold one by one, and you look around yourselves at a fully lit, Gothic-themed tower of sorts. The furniture that originally looked broken and decrepit is sitting properly now. There's 2 chairs seated right over by a side cabinet. The cabinet filled with all of these nice small trinkets that look unique and slightly off-putting, like the coloration of that skull is not exactly proper. There's a magnificent rug before you that stretches outwards. The rug itself is red, and it has a purple cross going all the way down in a consistent pattern. So, you're all inside.
Is there any kind of magic I see inside here at the moment?
Your detect magic seems to have ceased upon entering in here.
That is interesting. It appears my spell has been nullified.
Is that hard to do?
Pardon?
Is it hard for somebody to dispel your spell?
Well, I mean, it's just a simple detect magic spell. I don't imagine it's that difficult. But I don't know why going through an illusion would cancel that spell. If you wish, I can attempt to cast it again.
That's up to you. I don't have a problem with it.
Alright.
Law has a point though. It could be an anti-magic field, but it's worth a try. If there is an anti-magic field, well, the spell will fail, right?
So you attempt to cast the spell again?
Yep.
As you finish the spell, it envelops around you for the briefest of moments before disappearing.
Yes, it would appear that this spell, or this is an anti-magic area.
As I look at both my friends here, I realize that, shit, if they can't do magic, what the hell are they gonna do?
Needless to say, this is not good for us.
For you two.
Yes.
I guess me too, cause shit. I guess I'm gonna start, like, I wanna take a better look at all those trinkets, so I'm gonna, like, pick them up and look underneath them and whatnot.
All right. You walk over towards that shelf, and you begin lifting stray items up. You see that there appears to be a small head. It looks roughly humanoid, but slightly off from what you would mostly analyze a humanoid's head to be. The coloration to it is a slightly too pink color, and there are 2 divots towards the top of the skull that look like imprints of objects ripped off of it. Protrusions of some kind, possibly horns. right beside it appears to be a jar. The jar is filled with some reddish liquid that looks a little too thick and coarse. And as you look at it, there's something inside of it moving that you can't exactly place your finger on. Beside that one, there appears to be a doorknob, silver in make, though it doesn't have the backside of it accessible anywhere. And lastly, appears to be a gem. The gem is a perfectly rectangular sapphire. Only about 1/4 of an inch thick, but about 2 inches tall.
Do I have, like, I know we came in here without equipment, or we don't have any of our things. I mean, do we
You have
still
pants.
Pants?
You do have
Okay.
pants.
I definitely want to put the knob and the jewel in my pocket. Is the head big enough to fit in a pocket?
It's a little too big for that.
Okay. And then the jar? Does it seem too fragile to put in one's pocket?
No. It seems like a fairly sturdy jar,
Will the top come off?
if you wish to attempt to.
No, I meant like if I put it in my pocket, is it like...
It's a cork top. So long as you're
Okay.
careful, should be fine.
I just point out how right I am that Darmok wanted to collect a severed head.
No, that's suitable for his character.
Yeah. Dark likes heads. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put the knob and the gem in the left pocket, and then the jar by itself in the right pocket.
Okay.
We might need these later.
Are you taking the skull or no?
Yeah, I'm just gonna hold on to it.
Already? So, you pick up all of these things off the shelves, and then you all hear something a little concerning.
Hello? Who's there?
Come play with me.
What do you mean by play?
As you ask that question, you watch as directly beside those chairs, the end of a staircase appears that spirals upwards further and higher into the tower on different floors.
Well, I hope one of you knows any, games.
I'm pretty good at keep away. And I am the undefeated monkey in the middle. So yeah, I know 2 games.
I know how to play tag.
Okay, let's go play games then.
So you all start walking up the stairs?
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll follow.
Thank you. Please move your mouth away from your mic. It sounds like you're trying to eat it.
Apologies.
So, you all begin traversing up the stairs. The wood paneling of the railing is incredible make Very smooth, solid, glazed over as well. Who's going up first?
That'd be me.
All right, Darmok. As you are stepping up the stairs, your hand holding on to the railing just for a little bit more support, just in case. What's your passive?
16.
You notice a stray nail sticking out of the railing.
Okay.
So you avoid it, I assume?
Yes, correct.
Do you warn anybody else?
No, just because it's just a stray nail and that seems normal in a non-normal area, so I don't think about it.
Okay. Law. As you are holding on to the stairwell and stepping upwards. Shit! You slide your hand across the nail and will suffer 1 point of piercing damage. Your passive being low enough, you don't notice a stray nail. We're gonna die. I mean, maybe. Maybe.
Are you alright? Did you step onto... Oh.
So,
Oh yeah, there's a nail back there.
All he did was hurt himself on a nail and he's weaving his hand. Well, not that big a deal. As long as it's not rusty.
you all continue up the stairs. And you make it to the second landing up here. This appears to be a fairly wide room with a table that has alchemical supplies scattered across it, though all of the supplies seem to be empty. There are stray pieces of paper lining the walls all around you. And you notice that there appears to be a halfling child sitting on that table with all of the supplies. Their clothing seems odd to the three of you, foreign to anywhere that you've experienced thus far. And they just smile.
Are you all here to play with me?
Depends on the game, I suppose.
Are you done with your homework?
He looks at you, Darmok, when you say that, and his eyes go wide.
Please don't tell Father. He'll be very mad.
If he asked me directly, I'm not gonna lie.
Their eyes slump low, and you see a tear drops down, but before it touches the floor, it dissipates. And they slink off the table and hover just about 2 inches off the floor.
No, my friend is just being overdramatic. He won't tell your father, we promise.
Father will be much too upset. I have to go study.
And you see he begins floating upwards higher and higher through the ceiling.
What the hell is going on here?
Is that a ghost?
You've heard of specters before.
It's possible, but what would one be doing in a place like this?
The hell are we doing in a place like this?
Why does a place like this even exist?
You have a lot of questions, but no answers.
I wonder if we'll be capable of getting out of here at some point. Preferably soon.
So, you all are left alone inside of this alchemical facility. Though there appears to be no other doors or staircases near you.
What's on the papers?
You go to investigate them?
Yeah.
Roll me an investigation.
16.
Darmok bringing in the intelligence of the party. You pick up some of the papers on the surface of the piles and stacks, and you see that they have writings about different alchemical combinations. The way to incorporate chemistry into magic to amplify its power and potency so that you can imbue individuals or objects with increased cognitive thinking. But as soon as you go past that first page, it's blank, though the pages are all numbered, going all the way down. And it's like that for a few other piles and stacks that you pick up. However, you do come across one that was kind of tucked underneath the table, and the first 5 pages are completely legible. Now, you begin reading through, and these seems to be an individual who is studying the applied application of increased intellect forcibly onto individuals. It seems to be a journal written about 6 people in this estate, all of which are being studied carefully and given different potuses to see what would happen when they take them. This is humanoid experimentation at its finest. Apparently, of the 6, only subject number 3 survived the first round of testing and was proven to have an increased intellect of a considerable margin and portion. The individual who is studying this application of chemistry writes that they plan on studying the limitations of this knowledge that the individual can learn, as well as the limitations of how much of this potus can they consume and unlock before something unknown will happen.
I'd like some of that myself.
I'm gonna take all the papers, roll them up, and hand them to Law.
Very well. Law, you are now holding the papers. All right. Your hands are full now, Law, since you are holding all of them. So? Do you tell the other 2 what you discovered?
Oh, yes. So, it looks like they're doing some, experiments here on people. And, They're not very good at it because only one person has lived. And yeah, they're trying to make them really smart.
I would say that is now grounds to leave. I do not want to be in an experimental grounds.
You all hear the door downstairs open and close, as well as a very deep sigh.
Everyone, hide.
Roll your stealth checks.
Ooh.
I'm gonna get the skill.
Alrighty. Darmok finds a large drape beside a cabinet to tuck yourself behind and just focus on breathing as little as possible so it barely even shimmers or moves around you. Wave goes directly underneath the table and uses their natural climb speed to attach to the bottom side of the table. Law waves their wings and sends themselves up into a corner where they can latch onto the sides of the wall, holding on out of sight. You see over in the archway a very slender-looking person. Wide brim hat and large overcoat, hiding most of their body from sight for many of you. Law, you are the only one getting a good look at them right now from your position. As they walk through, the individual doesn't seem to step on the floor, and yet you still hear the sounds of a foot very heftily stepping onto solid wood, moving. They take only a few strides to get over to the table where Wave, you look directly beside you at the legs. Roll me a perception check.
Oh boy. Perception is here. 16.
Okay. The left leg seems wider than the right one. Considerably wider. Now, they stand at the table for a period of time. Number 3. You were supposed to be downstairs to take my hat and coat. Were you playing in my study again? Wave, you feel the individual leaning down on the table, and it almost begins bending under their weight. Number 3, I do not like repeating myself. And you know this room is off limits to you and the other experiments. Are you even listening to me, boy? Wave.
Yeah.
Give me an athletics check.
Oh boy. Oh my god.
18. The table you were attached to the bottom side of gets lifted and thrown aggressively across the room, slamming into the wall, with you still attached to it as it tumbles and waves. But you manage to hold on tightly, and when it finally settles, spinning, the top of the table is facing outwards, and you're still hidden behind it.
Can I roll an insight to see if he thinks I'm number 3 or even knows I'm there?
Sure.
An 11?
It's difficult for you to discern why this person is acting how they are. They seem to have thought number 3 was there. Rather, if that was you or not, who knows? However, you do hear a very deep sigh. Please, number 3. I need you to listen to me. It is the only way that we will possibly break through that boundary and finally aspire to something greater.
Oh my god, I knew I should have played a Kenku, but no. God, okay, so he knows someone was under there. Okay.
Law, from your perspective, you can see this individual is removing their hat, and the left side of their face has these intense burns and boils that look very fresh and new. It goes all the way down as they remove their overcoats. You see a glove covering a hand, but the very slightest portion of the hand visible underneath the very old sleeve has those same burn marks. As he goes over towards the curtain that Darmok is behind. Darmok, you hear the hefty footstep approaching towards you. And suddenly you see a very tall post appear beside you as the individual hangs their jacket and their hat on it. Darmok, roll me a perception check.
13.
You see the side of their face with those same alchemical burn marks. Skin appeared to have been darker, but now paling, presumably from lack of sunlight. Wave, the table you're still attached to at the bottom, gets lifted up with ease. And you see the legs before you again, as it brings you, still attached to the other side of the table, back over to where you were and places you down.
Does he say anything, do anything else?
Not that you hear. However, as he leans down to pick up all of the supplies that were knocked off the table, from your perspective, Wave, you can see his head hanging, but you see the right side of it, where there's a couple of burn marks that move over. It's mostly still intact. They have a darkened state to themselves, almost Marquesian that you would allocate towards. Half-elven. but their eyes seem to be completely fogged over as they lift up all of these instruments. Their head slowly turns and looks directly in your direction, Wave. In a flashing moment, you see this individual spread on all fours and run across the ground directly towards you, mouth stretching and extending far deeper than is natural for any type of creature. And right as it is leaping towards your throat with those sharpened fangs, it disappears. I need you to give me a wisdom saving throw.
Dear Lord. 10.
Your heart rate increases as you watch all of that, but your understanding that many things in here are illusion convinces you that that was just an illusion. And you manage to maintain your sanity through this encounter. Now, you're all waiting. Wave, the individual, has disappeared from sight very suddenly.
I guess I'm gonna look around, staying under the table, just kind of turning my head, seeing if I can't find any evidence where he might be inside the room, or even if he is.
Okay.
I guess that's a perception, or?
Well, we're going off of the perception you still haven't broken yet.
Right, yeah.
Until you take an additional action, we'll maintain older actions.
Fair enough.
You look around. And then you hear, on the other side of the room, by a bookshelf, a small door appears. The door is wrapped and chained with a padlock over it, and the door pushes open just barely enough for you to see that same halfling child begin crawling out of it, wiggling their way through. They run over to the table where you are. And Law, those pages that were in your hands are currently not there anymore. Wave, you see that one booklet on the floor appears as the halfling runs over to it and opens up the first page and reads it at an incredible speed. All 5 pages, quickly. Then he turns his attention over towards the stairwell. Are you here to play with me? You all hear footsteps approaching up this staircase, moving closer in. And you see what appears to be somebody in a formal business attire, but way too fluffy of an outfit. The reins around the wrists stretch outwards far too wide, and they smile. This individual appears to be human. Why, yes, Charleston. I am here to play. Now, we have to make haste before Father comes back. Why don't you show me those spells that you learned? And you watch as this individual, who can't be more than 5 or 6 years old, begin summoning magic into their hands, creating illusionary structures and producing an absurd amount of spell work and spellcraft. Spell work that would dwarf what Law and Wave are capable of doing. Those are wonderful talents and skills. I can't believe that we have such a powerful individual in our midst. Now, did you find the secret yet? No, I haven't. Well, it has to be around here somewhere. Have you been able to check the basement? No? He keeps it locked. There's too much warding for me to get through. That's what you call them, right? Wards? Very good, Charleston. But we'll find them. I promise you. We'll find them, and we'll find a way to escape this putrid place. And you'll be free. Able to do whatever it is your heart and your mind desires. You all hear the door open downstairs yet again. And the formally dressed individual turns their attention down there and then looks up at you, Law. We will find a way to be free. And you watch as he disappears from sight very suddenly with a few waves of his hand. And Wave, right at the edge of the table, you see Charleston hiding. As the footsteps of that individual continues up here. Number 3. Have you been playing in my workshop again? I told you, you are not allowed to play in my workshop. This is for me to study in, not you. The hefty footsteps approaches back over towards your position, Wave. And this time, number 3 looks up at you, scared.
I will try to give like a how do I put this? A kind of finger over my mouth.
Okay. He'll do the exact same as you.
I'll move my hand back up to the table to help me hang back on.
Number 3, stop wasting my time. We have to get you more of the serum. You know what happens when you go too long without your serum. And the hefty footsteps starts moving over towards that tiny door at the wall. You watch as Charleston very quickly disappears with a small plume of smoke. And as this large individual unlocks the chains to that door and opens it, he's standing at the base of the foot of those stairs, looking up at him.
Does it look like he wants me to follow him?
Well, he's looking up at the individual, not at
Right.
you.
Right. What?
Number 3. Why did you not answer me? I'm sorry, Father. I was practicing. Focusing.
The tall individual kneels down.
It is fine. Practice is good. We need to keep making sure that we never stop learning. We can never stop. Did somebody come by today?
His eyes immediately drift up towards you, attached to the ceiling law. I wonder if Law still has that 10-second delay happening. I see he's unmuted, but I can't hear.
Well, it wasn't speaking at the moment. I mean, it is still happening, though.
I can hear you right now. And then gone. Charleston will look back up at the tall individual.
No, Father. Nobody. I promise. Nobody came by today. I've just been working.
Very good. Now, let us continue going over the elements, shall we? Upstairs. And you watch as the door extends to be tall enough for this individual to fit through, but after he steps through, the door shuts and the chains wrap around, locking yet again. Someone's a loud typer.
And the sound is back, apparently.
Hey! Yeah, your internet is like really shitty today.
And he's gone.
Yup. It's Friday.
So everybody's gone. I'm gonna start cautiously leaving my hiding spot.
Very well.
I will do the same as I see Dharma.
Very well.
What in the hell is going on here?
I don't know, but I think we should probably get out of here.
Okay. And that makes 3. Okay. So should we go the way we came?
I mean, I feel like that door is very loud. Maybe there's a window or something we can get out of.
Are there any windows, Jero?
As you begin looking for them, you see that a single window appears attached to the side of the building, with a very long set of sheets wrapped and tied together drifting out of it.
Well, that's convenient. Well, does the lightest person want to go first?
Maybe a good idea, but is the window open or is it closed at the moment?
The window's open.
Okay. Alright, well, I can at least climb at the window. I don't know about you two.
Well, Law's got wings, so I'm assuming he can fly.
And will you be alright to get your way down, Dharma?
As long as this pre-made sheet ladder works, yes. That's so conveniently placed.
I agree with La. He should go first.
Very well. Law, you fly out the window. And you start drifting downwards towards the ground. As you drift downwards, you see the terrain around you is vastly different from what you entered into. There's large patches of grass all over, with hedges that look very unkept, stretching even further in like a maze-like pattern all around. There's these large statues that don't exactly look familiar to you at all, though they are magnificent and idyllic in nature. You just don't know what it is. You drift downwards, and you see that the sheet ends about 20 or so feet off the ground. You also see, lying down there, is a very slender person's body. That same man you saw moving around inside with the burn marks is lying on the ground, dead. Their leg broken and their skull shattered against the side of a rock as they fell.
Hey, this is interesting.
Oh, you don't see that. You just see the climbable bits. Law flew down.
Right.
So. Okay. He tells you both it's mostly safe.
I will begin the process of climbing down.
Easy enough. You put one paw in front of the other, and you begin climbing very easily. You look up, and after 10 feet of climbing, you no longer see Darmok or Law within sight, but you still see that window.
I will climb back up 10 feet.
Okay. You climb back up. And a hand reaches out and grabs yours. You look up and you see that same person who talked with Charleston standing there. Where is the child?
I don't know.
He is our salvation. If you keep trying to hide him, we'll have to do something drastic.
I'm not hiding him.
Give me an opposed athletics check.
Oh, God.
Your hand is ripped off from the sheet, and you're dropped, flying 40 feet down towards the ground. "13 points of bludgeoning damage as you fall.
I'm down.
Darmok and Law, you watch as Wave falls downwards from this height, slamming in the exact same pose as that man. Wave, you immediately wake back up
However, you suffer 1 sanity.
What the? Back at full or at a 1?
You're back at full.
Okay.
However, you now have a phobia of heights.
Of course, you give the tabaxi that.
I mean, it makes sense for what happened. Sorry.
What the hell was that?
Darmok, you look down there and you see Wave on the ground rubbing his head. After blood poured out of it for a couple of minutes.
I do not like this place. I'm gonna try to look around, see if I can't see Darmok or...
Darmok, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Or, I'm here. How far am I from the ground now?
If you're climbing, you're only about 40 or so feet from the ground.
So it still hurt. Okay.
Yeah, it would. I mean, you're a monk. It could hurt you a little bit.
I don't have that. Yeah, I think it's the 3rd level.
4th, actually, but yeah.
4th, yeah. All right, I'm just gonna get down as quickly as I can without falling.
Alrighty. Give me an athletics check.
12.
You go down. Not as quickly as you can, but you do go down. And as you land, your feet down on the ground, all 3 of you looking around at each other and the circumstance. I think this is where we're probably going to go on break, everybody. We will be right back.